Welcome, Richard. Welcome, Joanna. Welcome, David. Welcome, Fastly. I think that is. And Jimmy. Welcome, Jimmy. Welcome, Jolene. Yarissa. How's you guys' morning so far? Please give me some emojis to let me know how your morning is going. Okay. All right. Basta. Hi, America. Welcome. Welcome, Martin. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Jose. I'm so glad to see you. Hey, Martin. Valerie. All right, let me clean my camera. Hold on one second. Welcome. Good to see you. Hi, Abigail. Do we have everybody here, Joanna? Or are we still waiting on some people?
Yeah, we're still waiting for some people.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay, guys, as we wait, I want you guys to write in the chat, all I do is win. All I do is win. Y'all, this year, 2026, we're gonna be about character. We're gonna be about development. We're gonna be about growth, resilience, a strong mindset. We're gonna win in every capacity. Academically, we're gonna fly high and we're gonna make a lot of money. And a part of making money, this is an additional stream of income for you all. So, how amazing it is that how amazing is it, excuse me, that you're pouring into yourself, but at the same time, you're generating cash for developing yourself. I think it's a pretty good gig to me. If you ask anybody, they will tell you this is a good opportunity. So I want you guys to be super active in not only engaging, but making sure you're doing your workbook, you're thinking about these things, and you're just making up your mind that this year is going to be different. For me, I decided I was like, this year has to be different. With every, challenge that has come in 2025 and traumatic experiences, I'm not going to allow that decapitate me for what is in store for my life, right? For my destiny. And I know that you guys probably have so many things that are happening in your life that I may not be able to understand, or the next person may not be able to understand, but understand that you do have a purpose. And despite the challenge, as long as you make up your mind that I am going to become whoever I am called to be, you can overcome the obstacle. And this is not me trying to give you guys some motivational speech, right? It's literally what I'm experiencing in my own life right now. Um, and having to deal with so many hard things at the same time. So imagine having to just exist and then still having to plan a funeral and all these other things and navigating the emotions of losing a parent, but then deciding that even in those things, I still have to, one, be aware of where I'm at, but show up for myself. And what does that look like? By continuing to do the things that I know are important to me and also to my father's legacy. So today, I feel like everybody's in by this point. And today we are going to talk about understanding your paycheck. And I think when you're able to understand your paycheck, it helps you because you'll understand that where the taxes and all those different things come from. And let me move my screen a bit so we can get into it. Okay, so this workshop, it breaks down your paycheck and shows you how your paycheck really works, right? So by showing, the gross pay to net pay, the W-4 shapes how the taxes have been taken out and each pay period, and how the W-2 lies everything together at the year's end. So we're going to learn how to read our paychecks. We're going to understand our tax forms, and we're going to make informed choices that prevent surprises at the end of the tax period, right? So when tax time comes, we're going to strengthen our financial confidence. And with clear guidance and practical examples, we're going to see how mastering these habits gives us control over our money and our future. So here are some quick spark thoughts. Be aware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. That's from Benjamin Franklin. Sorry. You must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will control you forever. That's by Dave Ramsey. And then another good one. Okay, well, I'm going to show you guys soon. I'm going to show you in the video form. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, we can move to the next slide, and we're going to do a popcorn. Actually, I'll just read this one to you guys, and then we'll do popcorn for the next one. So last week we talked about stocks, we talked about bonds, and we talked about real estate. Um, we basically, I lost my slide. Okay, stocks, bond, and real estate. So we spoke about in the last class what we were introduced basically to the foundation of investing by breaking down how stocks, bonds, and real estate create long-term growth. We learned how stocks build wealth through conversation. We learned about building wealth through ownership. Bonds provide stability through lending, and real estate generates value through property and appreciation and rental income. So, with clear explanations, real world experiences, and an emphasis on diversification, we gain the confidence to be informed financial decision makers without needing an expert. And it's okay to get an expert, but it's great that, we now have this foundation on stocks, bonds, and real estate. All right. So next slide. All right, our learning objectives. Now we're gonna popcorn. So, Joanna, who are we gonna start with?
I'd like to start with Abigail.
All right. So, Abigail, you're gonna read the first bullet and then you're gonna popcorn to somebody else.
Okay. Understand how gross pay, net pay, tax withholdings, and common paycheck deductions shape real take-home income. And then I'll popcorn it to Angel.
Thank you, Abigail.
Do I read the second one?
Yes, please.
Interpret key tax forms, including the W-4 and W-2, to make informed decisions that prevent unexpected refunds or tax bills.
Perfect. Who are you gonna popcorn to, Angel?
Andrew.
Apply this knowledge to manage personal finance more confidently by reviewing stubs, adjusting withholdings, and preparing for tax filing.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for reading. Okay, we're gonna set up our polls now. Let's kind of gauge how much we know. Um, and yeah, so we can start the polls. You guys poll away. The first one is when you first hear gross pay, what do you think it means? The second one is what part of the pay stub do you think is most important to check? And the third question is how do you think your paycheck would feel after your first set of deductions? Okay, we have about 13 people that have answered, so I'm waiting on a good 10 people. Okay, we have 2 people left that haven't polled yet. All right, we got everybody. We're at 100%. Okay, you can stop the poll now, Joanna. And we're seeing that majority of people for question number 1 says the total you earned before deduction. Which part of the pay stub do you think is most important to check? Majority of people said tax withheld. I know that's right. And then number 3 said, how do you think your paycheck would feel after your first set of deductions? And majority of people said, wow, that dropped fast. Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to call on some people right now so that we can find out what you guys polled and what do you think. So Joanna, let's start off with Jose.
Wait, sorry, what was the question?
When you first hear gross pay, what do you think it means?
Mm, I say that it is the pay before any deductions.
Yep. And why did you say that?
I just because I think the difference between net pay is that when taxes are deducted and everything of those sorts, and yeah.
Good, 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 good. That's right. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Um, Joanna, who should we call on next to answer number two?
Let's call on Caitlin.
What was the question?
Which part of the pay stub do you think is the most important to check, Caitlin? Gross pay, net pay, tax withheld, hours worked, or salary details?
I think gross pay.
Okay. What is your reason for that? It's not a wrong answer anyway. So why would you choose gross pay? Caitlin, can you hear me?
Because yeah,
Okay.
because it's like how much money you're taking home.
Hold I'm teaching a class, so thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry guys, it's my family trying to feed me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good good evening, Phoenix.
Good evening, everybody.
They can hear you. I was Bye, Phoenix.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, or you can sit here, but you have to be quiet. Okay. All right. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so Caitlin, back to you before they're trying to feed me and greet everyone. Sorry, can you repeat what you said?
I said because the gross pay is how much money you take home.
Okay. And to you, that is important. Why?
Like to know how much money I'm making.
Mm, good, 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 good. Okay, awesome. Okay, next person. Um,
Um, how about Eileen?
they can hear the song. Okay, you can go ahead. How do you think your paycheck will feel after your first set of deductions? Which one did you choose?
Um, I think I put the last one of like, where does it all go?
Okay, the last one you said?
Yeah, I think it was the last one.
Okay, still confused about where it all goes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you for your honesty. That's good. Because at the end of the day, right, we want to be able to see, to understand, and that's the point of this course. So, no problem at all. The only thing is, I like to see you guys when you're speaking, but for some reason, okay, I'm seeing y'all now. I was seeing myself. I think that's really interesting. I'll figure it out. Okay, great. Thank you guys for those of you who shared, and sorry for my interruption. All right. So before we go on to the next slide, I thought that it was important for us to watch a video. For me, I feel like whenever this information about money, finances, taxes, compound interest is a lot to consume. So I like visual representations that will also help us digest the information more. So we're gonna play a video. It's from Netflix, actually. So, Joanna, when you're ready, we can play that video. And I think it'll give us an introduction into more of what we're speaking about, just so that we can have a better framework. All right, guys, you better pay your taxes. So, comment in the chat and write, pay your taxes. I won't make y'all write the little homie part, but pay your taxes. So that exactly what they said, right? At the end of the day, you'll be able to have what is needed when it comes to Social Security. The tax people won't get you guys. You're not going to go to jail for not paying your taxes. We're going to be good, law abiding citizens. All right. So, this slide, we're going to talk about your paycheck, and we're going to talk about how it starts with gross pay and ends with net pay. Okay. So gross pay, it is the money you earn before anything is taken out. So Jose was right about that, right? So hourly workers, hours worked equals hours wage times, well, sorry, hourly workers, hours waged, hours worked times hours wage. Salary workers is annual salary divided by the number of pay periods. Your paycheck shrinks because of withholdings, which reduce take home pay on purpose. So this includes federal income tax. It includes state income tax of your state, if your state charges it. It includes FICA taxes, which is Social Security, that's 6.2%, and Medicaid, which is 1.5%, right? So in the video, we heard him talk about Medicaid and how he benefits from Medicaid. So he's like, please pay your taxes because we need it, right? Well, not everybody may need Medicaid, but there are some people who utilize Medicaid, and that's why it's important. Um, so these are mandatory, but it's not affected by your W-4. So some jobs also deduct health insurance, so 401k contributions or other employment-related costs. And then net pay um, is your real spending money. So what gets deposited into your bank account after taxes and deductions. So your pay stub is essentially a map where your money starts, where it goes, and what ends up in your hands, right? Okay, so the next slide is a workbook question. So what surprises you most about the difference between gross pay and net pay? I'm going to give you guys about 40 seconds, and then we are going to discuss this as a group. Okie dokie. So, Joanna, who are we going to call on for us to talk about this workbook question?
Okay, let me call on let's see, Valerie.
Valerie.
What I put is that something that surprises me is that the gross pay is the total amount of earned before taxes and deductions, while net pay is the amount of remaining after all deductions.
So, how would you feel about seeing your first paycheck after deductions? Or have you had a paycheck before, Valerie?
No.
Okay. So how would you feel about getting a paycheck? So imagine you work, right? You work all of your money, and then you see your paycheck, you're thinking about, you're doing the calculations in your mind. You're like, ooh, I'm about to cash out. Then you get the paycheck, and then like a bunch of taxes are taken from it. How would you feel about
Disappointed.
that? There. Definitely. So, most people do, right? Because when you are working and the money is leaving, you're working hard for your money and then you have to pay your taxes, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like why? But luckily, there's tax refunds and it's important to know what your taxes pay for. That way you can utilize the benefits, right? So, what you're saying is not uncommon for most people. Thank you so much for sharing, Valerie. Can we call on somebody else? Joanna?
Yeah. So I'm gonna call on Isaac.
What was the question again?
So what surprises you the most about the difference between gross pay and net pay?
Like how much can get deducted? Like it's a lot sometimes. Yeah.
It is a lot. Have you had a paycheck before?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, it is a lot though, if you have any idea of that. So what do you think your paycheck, so why do you think your paycheck shrinks so much before you get it?
Because there's like just so much taxes they gotta pay in the state.
Yep,
Especially here, I
exactly.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really imperative. I'm in Lagos right now, so it is like I don't even know what time it is. Night, 7:44 p.m. And Lagos State also, even like no, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, there are going to be taxes, and it's imperative that you pay your taxes because there's repercussions, reprimands, and all of that. So even though we don't like having our money being reduced, like I told Valerie, it's imperative for us to know what our taxes pay for, and we utilize them, right? That way we utilize those benefits and those resources. So if your state has certain benefits and resources, you guys look into that so that your tax money isn't being wasted. Okay, thank you to the two people that have shared. We can move on to the next slide. All right, so your W-2 determines how much your taxes withheld from each paycheck. So a W-4 is a form that employees fill out to determine federal tax withholdings, right? So the W-4 tells your employee how much federal income tax to withhold. So it does not set your tax rate. It only determines how much tax you prepay during the year. So accurate withholding helps prevent unexpected refunds or bill bills at tax time. Imported W-4 elements. So filing status, single, married, head of household. Is there anybody who is married here? Let me know if you're married. Okay, none of y'all are married. I'm just kidding. I mean, somebody could be married. We don't know, but still. I pretty much thought you guys were single, but single as in not married, not single like you don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, just to clarify that. So this determines which withholding table applies, right? So if I'm filing, I am not married right now, right? And so I am filing as a single person. But when I filed as married, that also changes how my taxes will go. And even though some married people still file as single, if I've heard, my dad used to do taxes when he was alive, actually. And some people had different ways of filing their taxes in order to whatever fits their life best. But whatever you do, just do it correctly. Determine which withholding table applies, right? And so dependents lower withholding and increase take home pay. So a lot of you guys are most likely dependents on your parents' taxes. And that's because you're eating their food, they're probably feeding you and housing you and all of those good things, right? And so that makes you a dependent under your parent or your grandmother or your aunt or your uncle or whoever your caretaker is in that sense. So extra withholding can be added in box 4C. So if you have multiple jobs or if you want a larger refund, people love tax refunds, y'all. Like, all the advertisements that comes during tax refund time? It's because they're tired of all the taxes that have been taken away, so they're ready to get their money back. So you can update your W-4 anytime. So new job, a raise, a second job, or major life changes. So most people should update it more often than they do. When your W-4 is filled out accurately, each paycheck reflects the right amount of tax for your situation. So what's step one? Step one, we're going to add your first name and last name and address. We're going to fill in your social security number. Most likely you'll be filing single, like I told y'all. Part two is that you fill out if you have more than one job at a time or you're married, filing jointly with a spouse who also works. So that's just kind of like, a brief overview of what that looks like. Now, next slide, please. Claim dependent or other credits, right? So this is relevant for people with children, dependents who makes a certain threshold. So if you guys have children, or are going to have children, or even are taking care of children, that children are under your care, you can file them as a dependent. So it's relevant for people with children, dependents who've made a certain threshold unlikely to apply to you for now, right? So but it's good to know for the future. So other adjustments, this is optional, but it's filled out if you want extra income withheld or if you want to reduce your withholding. All right. So we're gonna go to our workbook question next. And I am going to give you guys about 35 seconds, and then you're gonna get into the breakout room after that. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna use 4 minutes for the breakout room, and then we're gonna come back and share what we discussed.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Welcome back. Okay, we're gonna discuss what you guys talked about in your groups. So, Joanna, please help me call on someone.
I'm gonna call on someone from room 1. Gonna call on Jolene.
My group talked about what can change is when you get married or have a kid.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct, Jolene. Um, awesome. Okay. And what might happen if you never update your W-4? You have any idea, Jolene?
I don't know.
Okay. So if you don't update your W-4, there's a chance that um, you can miss some things that need to be documented for them to understand how much taxes you owe, or even opportunities that can be allotted to you based off of the new tax bracket that you're in. So it's a lot of different intricacies. So my advice would be make sure you keep it updated. All right. Thank you for sharing. Um, we can call on somebody else.
Yeah. Gonna call on somebody from group 2, Hugo.
I feel you should change it when you get married or have kids.
Very true. So how does that amount of tax you pay contribute to your community? Like you paying taxes, who does that help? Or what are some of the things that it covers? You have an idea?
Medical care?
Boom, boom, boom. Y'all give party emojis for Hugo. That is correct. Thank you. Thank you. So things like Medicaid, um, things like outside of medical care, WIC. I don't know if you guys know what WIC is. WIC, free and reduced lunch. All of those things are that is funny, Jose. All of those things are benefits from us paying our taxes. And also, you remember in that video they talked about voting. because who we vote for decides what our taxes can cover. All right, great. I want you guys to watch a video, so I'm gonna leave that and we can go to our next slide. All right. So your W2 shows the final summary of your year, what you earned and what you paid. So your W2 arrives from each employer by January 31st. And it summarizes your taxable wages, tax withheld, and your Social Security / Medicare contributions for the entire year. We have key W-2 boxes. Federal taxable wages may differ from actual earnings because of pre-tax deductions. And box 2, and federal income tax withheld. And then box 3 and 6 through 6 is Social Security, Medicare, wages and taxes. And then we have additional boxes to show state wages, state taxes, and certain benefits. And then if you worked multiple jobs, you receive multiple W-2s, and that must be included when you're filing taxes. So your refund or amount owed depends on what you exactly earned. So those are like kind of your W-2 numbers. And then how much tax was withheld from your paychecks. If too much was withheld, you get a refund. If too little, you owe. We don't want to owe, y'all. We don't want to owe taxes. And then, which is why an accurate W-4 matters for the upfront, right? And then tax software makes filing simple by walking you through each W-2 box. And many students qualify for free filing through the IRS Free File or VITA. So understanding gross pay versus net pay, how your W-4 controls withholding, and how your W-2 summarizes everything at your end gives you complete control over your financial picture as a worker. So these 3 documents together show where your monthly money goes, right? Or not monthly, sorry, just where your money goes, how your taxes are collected, and how to avoid surprises at tax time. We do not want surprises at tax time. That's the worst thing that can happen. Okie dokie. And guys, you've heard of people that have done tax fraud and all those crazy things. We cannot be a part of those shenanigans. It gets a bit wild. We can move to our next slide, but I think what we will do is we're gonna play our video because I just want to make sure we have enough time so we can play our video and then we'll get into the workbook.
Meet Ray. Ray is an incoming senior at State University who just finished up a summer internship at Corporate Co. Ray had a great experience and also made a lot of money. This is great news, but there is one problem. Ray has no idea how to pay his taxes, or even if the money he made requires him to do so. What should Ray do? Well, we've got him covered. Let's start with the basics. How does the US tax system actually work? Paying your taxes is a lot like filling up a line of progressively larger buckets. Each bucket corresponds to a specific tax rate, like 10%, and to a specific range of income, like 0 to 9,225. As your income grows, you fill up more and more of these buckets, called brackets, each one with its own tax rate. In addition to this, you'll also need to pay what's called a FICA tax, which is the flat 7.65% tax on any money you've earned. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, unfortunately taxes in real life are a bit more complicated, so let's use a more detailed example. Let's say Ray made $30,000 last year. That's his gross income, literally the amount of money he made at Corporate Co before taxes. This number can then be refined into what's called AGI by subtracting certain expenses called adjustments, also known as above-the-line deductions. For example, if Ray paid $1,000 in combined student loan interest, his AGI would move from $30,000 to $29,000. This number can be then lowered even further if Ray takes an exemption. An exemption is a flat 4,000 reduction in AGI available to each taxpayer for himself, his spouse, and each one of his dependents. For example, if Ray takes his exemption, his AGI, currently at $29,000, will be lowered to $25,000. Ray can then lower this number even further by taking a deduction. Unlike exemptions, deductions depend on the expenses of each taxpayer. So what does that even mean? Well, there are several types of expenses, like charitable donations or mortgage interest, that can be used to lower AGI. These are called itemized or below-the-line deductions. If Ray lacks these specific expenses, he can instead take a standard deduction, which is a flat $6,300 reduction in AGI as of 2015. However, there's a catch. If you choose to take the standard deduction, you can't also itemize your deductions, so be sure to pick whichever one is greater. So, let's assume Ray takes the standard deduction. That means his AGI, currently sitting at $25,000, will be lowered to $18,700. That number is Ray's taxable income, literally the amount of money eligible to be taxed by the IRS. From there, if Ray plugs that number into the 2015 tax brackets, he'll find he owes about $2,300 in federal income tax. Considering that Ray started with $30,000 in gross income, this seems like a pretty good deal. However, there's actually one more tool Ray can use to save money: tax credits. Unlike exemptions and deductions, which lower AGI, tax credits directly lower your actual tax payments. For example, let's say Ray is eligible for a $1,000 tax credit. This credit can then be used to offset his $2,300 tax bill, leaving him owing about $1,300 in income tax, plus the money for the FICA tax, which will have already been automatically taken out of his paycheck by his employer. So that's the end of taxes, right? Well, not quite. Ray may also have to supplement his federal taxes with state income taxes. Thankfully, however, these taxes are calculated in a very similar manner to federal taxes and are almost always lower. Hopefully you and Ray now better understand how taxes work. Be sure to check out our next video, where we'll teach you whether or not you need to file a tax return.
Hey guys. Okay, so we now have a better understanding on taxes. Excuse me, I was almost choking. I want you guys now to look at the workbook question. Give you about 30 seconds. I thought that breakdown was really good because it is basically a 101 and kind of give you like an overview, and then you can have the chance to potentially look at that link again and get a bit more understanding about taxes. I think it breaks it down fairly easily. So look at the workbook question. We're going to look at it for about 30 seconds and then probably call on somebody. And then we're going to wrap up our session for today. All right. So, who are we going to call on, Joanna?
I am gonna call on America.
America. What would you rather do? Would you rather pay more throughout the year and receive a refund, or pay less throughout the year and pay more? And why is that?
I would rather pay more and receive a refund because it's like I'm paying my taxes on time, and then at the end I'm gonna get like the extra money that I saved, basically.
Boom, boom, boom. That's a better way to do it. I mean, different strokes for different folks, but that is a great approach. America, what would you do with your tax fund or your tax refund? Like, what is something that you would like to do with your tax refund when you get it?
Probably like splurge on like clothing or something, because it's like I save my money.
True. It's a good option. Buy clothing. Another good option. I know a lot of people when they get their tax refund, they do like maybe big purchases. They save for their car, like put down payments on car, depending on how big your refund is, right? So like they put down payments on their car, for houses. Um, if you're in a lesser tax bracket, then you probably utilize, your money to do, whatever it is that you like. Maybe buy a TV, whatever it is, buy clothes, that makes sense to you and your goals and depending on how you maneuver it. So thank you for answering. Okay. Okay. I have 1 minute. So, next class, we're going to talk about adaptability and contingency planning. Planning. And thank you again, America, for answering. So, the next class, we're going to learn how adaptability begins with mindset and how reorganizing change as normal makes challenges easier to manage. So we're going to learn to pause before reaching, practice flexible thinking, and build simple contingency plans. So this way we keep prepared instead of being stressed. With confidence, we're going to be calm, we're going to be focused on what we can control, and we'll learn to navigate surprises in school, work, and life with resilience and clarity. That is extremely important. Thank you guys again today for showing up, engaging. I really hope that we have a better understanding of how our paycheck works with net pay and gross pay and deductions and filing taxes. And so, of course, I don't expect you guys to understand everything today, but I just hope you have a bit more clarity and you know that you have this information at your disposal that you can look through, regurgitate, and really figure out how to be in a better position than your peers. So I feel like if I had this information when I was your age, I would probably be way better off, but you have this information now. And so you have the chance to be way better off. You get what I mean? So thank you guys. And I'm going to give it to Joanna, who is going to give you guys your announcements. And let's put some cash signs in the chat because the more understanding we have, the more money we can make, the better steward we are of what's given to us. So just show me some cash signs so I know we're all aligned. Yes, I love it. Thank you, thank you. Go ahead, Joanna.
All right. Thank you for the questions, you guys. And thank you, Maliz, for the wonderful discussion. As always, you're amazing. And welcome back to Cohort 11. We haven't seen you in Cohort 11 since spring semester. So thank you for that. Now, I won't be able to give you the 90 seconds because time-wise, but please do make sure that you will finish your workbook uh before Friday 5 p.m. because that's the deadline and we're very strict with deadlines. So you won't miss your points. So please make sure to complete them. Don't wait for the last minute because you might miss your points. So let's go on with the announcement. So for the field trip, we are extending the RSVP for this one. We know we have an upcoming schedule of the JA Finance Park this coming Saturday, but we also have another schedule next week, February 14th. And the RSVP for that is this coming Friday at February 6th. So the time of the deadline for that is 5 p.m. So if you're interested, please RSVP for this one. And next one, if you attended the Ignite Speaker Series last Monday, please don't forget to finish your post survey. The link will be in the chat box so you won't miss your points. You will be getting 2 points for Ignite, one for attending and one for completing your post survey. And then the next one will be about the student leader form. Student leader form is now open if you want to give it a chance to lead out breakout rooms, especially the ones that our student leaders and alumni did earlier. Thank you very much. You can sign up for this one if you're interested. So the link will be in the chat box. The deadline for this one is February 12th at 5 p.m. Now, if you are in the college match program, please make sure to sign up the quick form that we have in the chat box. If you don't have any idea of what this is, you might not be a member of this one, so you don't have to worry. But if you are, please do sign up the form so that we could keep track of whether you're involved in this program. And then the next one will be about the free Mustang immersive experience. So this is happening right now throughout Sunday, February 8th. And you have a free ticket for this one. So you could bring three of your classmates or your friends or family members with you. So in order for you to get the free ticket, you just have to fill out the sign up form that is in the chat box, and you will receive a voucher code that you'll be typing in the website when you do the checkout. So the coupon code will be emailed to your email address. And if you are bringing some of your friends and you're bringing three of them, you have to do the sign up form 3 times more so that you could get 3 unique codes for your free tickets. And then lastly, for alumni, I know we have an alumni here. First Gen U Career Institute is now open. This is a program designed to support first generation college students like you in exploring careers and building professional skills. So all of the important dates, info sessions, and the registration links will be in the chat box. Please do register if you are interested. Now, we also have a student guide website where all of the things that I said earlier are there. So please check it out. And if you have any concerns about youth champions, please send them through our help form. We only address concerns from Mondays to Fridays. So that's an FYI for that. So that's all for me. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day for the rest of your day today. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye.